Hello, welcome to the program. Just about 20 seconds here. It's Orange and Blue Blood Thursdays. That's where we thrash it all out. We got stuff to talk about, schedules to go over, a couple little things to tweak, all coming your way right here in this next hour on the Buddy Martin Show. I'm Buddy Martin, and we are on the air. Tell your friends and neighbors, come join us now.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama said that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the program. I'm Buddy Martin. We're heard 4 nights a week right here on this channel and soon to be on other channels and soon to be 5 nights a week as long as you put up with us. I want to thank you for joining the program tonight. We got the Orange and Blue Blood Thursday crew here. Troupe will be preaching shortly. We've got Franz, the Iron Duke, and Loren Meadows all talking about what's ahead this season for these Florida Gators. A little bit of an uptick with things lately, it seems like. We'll talk about that and why, get the guys on and hear from them. But glad to have you tonight. By the way, we just today's what, July 13th? Heck, we're right at it. Under 50 days, I know, to go, and we're going to start having player interviews again. It's going to be good stuff right here. So ride with us, folks. We've been doing this now, I think it's 6 years. I guess it's five years now, and Brendan and I were trying to figure it out the other day about when did it start? We think this started in January of 2018. Anybody know? Some of you G&K members would know. Some of you guys been around there a long time, as a matter of fact. And one of them was David Baldoff, who was always there saying dilly dilly, as he is tonight. Good evening, David. How are you? And Becky Smith Carlisle's back. For a long time, Becky was the first one in. She had the pole position for a long time. She took a little vacation. She's back. Good to see you, Becky. Thanks for joining the program. My good buddy Dan Bond, he's happy he's got Wyatt out there now as a Ranger uniform. Not yet, but soon to be there. Dan, of course, our intrepid correspondent, does a lot of stuff on gymnastics and softball and football. Glad to have his participation in Gator Bay. By the way, just a little plug for Gator Bait. Plug it in. Get ready to go. It's going to be a rock and roll season. Got great stuff coming your way. Ron Falsino, good evening to you. Jerry Vitaliano. I think, Jerry, you're one of the originals. I remember you a long time ago. So thank you all for being on the show, following the show tonight. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to see if it's possible to squeeze that figure up to 8. It's a little bit of an uptick lately, and we're trying to get an idea on that. We've got some views on it. We asked the panel, which of course are Ben and Franz and Loren, about where they stand right now. A lot of good stuff has happened lately. There's a lot of good stuff, and certainly the recruiting is really taking a turn for the better. But remember, that's 2024 and not 23. Now, I'm a believer that a rising tide raises all ships, even when it's not necessarily your year. When you start winning and you start recruiting, there's a good thing that happens to your program. You got to hope that's what happens here to Billy Napier, who deserves a break about right now. So David Baldo says you've been saying 8 or 9. That's a little optimistic, David. But that's okay. You're allowed to do it. Orange and Blue Bloods Thursdays, anything goes, and you give us your tip. Meanwhile, we're going to do this to tell you about one of our sponsors. We're going to tell you about some people on the lam, some criminals out there. We'll show you the picture if you haven't seen this. First, though, a word about our friends at Titan MRI. Titan MRI is worth a short drive to Gainesville. No insurance is no problem. You can pay with cash or card with the same day scheduling available. You can start feeling better today. Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location from Ocala, Marion County, and the villages. That's TitanMRI.com. Okay, so here's the deal. Let me put this picture over. Maybe you heard about this, maybe not, but let's see. Well, let me go get Ben first. Let him take a look at it too. So good evening to the preacher himself, the Troupe. Even to you, Ben.
What's going on with you tonight, buddy? How's everything?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good today. Just keeping it between the white lines, and doing the best we can. That's all you can do. Like our song says, he's doing the best he can. That's what we do, Ben, don't we?
That's all you can do. If you're doing more than the best you can, you found some type of elixir that only you know about.
Yeah. Now, Ben, I love you. And Ben, I love your lid that you wear here. And I'm not saying I don't like what you got on for the summer look, but dadgummit, I miss that regular hat.
Listen, are you talking about my Braves hat?
No. Now, see, you got to be bringing that. I'm going to give a dadgum Braves hat for that. Just for that. Now you made me mad. You made me mad now.
I messed it up.
There you go. All right. I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Listen, basically, people, you just realize that Buddy Martin always got a hat in the clip. He always got a full clip. I say something about the Braves, and that activates.
I'm ready for you. When you fire away, I'll take it. But I'm proud of the Rays. The Rays are great. They had a terrific All-Star game. There's so much talent on that team. And they haven't even reached their peak yet. That's what's scary. They, unlike the Rays, their pitchers are – Rays have got 3 pitchers hurt. And one of them is supposed to be the starter in the All-Star game, McClanahan. But that's baseball. It happens, but there's so much talent over there in those Bravos. But anyway, that hat, I'm telling you, the one you wear, the brown one there, I like that.
Oh, yeah, it's my kids always messing with stuff, man. They be drawing on my stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but this is the thing too, right? They know me though. If I say something like, "Man, why y'all?" They'll say, "Daddy, you don't care nothing about no material stuff." I'll be like, "Yeah, don't be listening to my conversation."
Podcast? Don't we listen to that podcast now?
Just because I don't care about it, don't mean y'all get to mess it up.
There you go. Well, if they had to go,
my kids are they smart. They smart.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You can't be. Now, look, how smart are you? You could have been in the FBI or one of those law enforcement agencies if you wanted to. How you gonna catch these guys right? Look at this. These guys broke in last night or yesterday to the center there in Gainesville. That's not me, by the way. And stole stuff. It says here, do you recognize these subjects? Please call University of Florida Police Department. And it says here, Loren saying he's stuck in Jacksonville tonight. Okay, Loren, we'll get to you. And so these are the guys, apparently, the Criminal Investigation Division, the number's right there. Call them if you know any of these guys who apparently broke into Havana Center and took a bunch of stuff last night. So that's what's going on up in Gainesville these days. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty secure place. Didn't you, Loren? Didn't you, Ben?
Yeah. Hold on. Did that guy have on a full Florida Gator outfit?
He did. How did he get that now? Now, he's really throwing you off because he got his Gator outfit on right there.
I will. Listen, this is my thing. In this situation, right, how bold are you? Now, you ain't even trying to have on a mask. I mean, the guy with the Florida Gator uniform, he got a look on his face saying, I don't think this ain't going the way I thought.
That's right. Do they know who I am?
In the midst of it, he goes, when I was planning this in my head,
it didn't look like
a lot
this.
better than it. And the guy that's standing, the guys in the center, the guy that's standing behind the guy in the front, he's looking like that too. Like, bro, this ain't it, man. Like, this ain't, because what's gonna happen is, right, we're going to
go to jail. Yeah.
You're gonna get called. You're gonna go to jail. And here's the thing: everybody in jail is gonna know y'all these guys. They're gonna say, bro, you ever heard of a mask? And they go, and you know what? If the guy who wearing number 3, when he get caught, if he still got on the Florida Gator outfit, I said, dude, I know who you root for. I know who you're rooting for, but you can't be stealing people's stuff. That's not the way to make it in this life.
Wait, is that guy on the right? Is that Marco Wilson? Because I got something to say to him.
I just recently saw a podcast that Marco Wilson was on there asking me to throw
man.
shit in. He said I would throw a Marco.
Oh, Marco. You're
man,
killing us, man.
That was your opportunity.
Oh, man. Yeah, to make it right.
Come on.
What an idiot. What an idiot.
Most people in life don't get a do right, but we all get do better. You had a chance to do better, Marco.
Man. I mean, here's what happened to those things. What are you talking about? Well, here's the deal. Marco Wilson, remember, threw a shoe in the LSU game. They got a penalty. Game should have been over. And apparently he was on the show. I saw the clip, and they asked him about, was he sorry he did it? And he said, no. He said he'd do it again, and he'd throw the shoe further. Now, how immature was that? I'm asking you.
It was to me, buddy. It's funny. The thing, you know the thing about being in the pros that people don't give certain players enough credit for. I'm a pro athlete. I want to show that I'm a pro when it comes to the media as well. I want to show that I've learned how to use the media as a tool, and they don't. It's almost like when you know how it is, buddy. Listen, buddy, you've been in the media a long time. You've asked a lot of questions. Most questions, you almost kind of know what the answer is going to be. It's when they go against the grain. That person that asked that question was hoping that, hey, man, my show,
give it a chance.
I'm going to ask him about the shoe. And he's going to say, yeah, man, looking back on it, I probably should have did that. In hindsight, no, I would have threw it further. They go, what?
Yeah, really.
That's that media person going, bruh. I appreciate the clicks that you're gonna give me, but this ain't helping your reputation, especially because unless you're gonna become the greatest corner ever in the NFL history, which is not gonna happen, that's what you're known for. Right, wrong, indifferent. That's what you're known for. The shoe heard around the world, and when they ask you, I'm like, Marco, hey, listen. Still love Marco Wilson, man. The younger brother of Quincy Wilson. Love them boys, man. But I just think that, buddy, there are things that make you scratch your head, man. That make you go, did he? Like if somebody would have told you that without you hearing, you would, no, he didn't. No.
I'm gonna tell you, I've never been a huge fan of Marco's anyway. Okay.
Marco?
I know all the things people say about how great Quincy was a heck of a player. Quincy conducted his business a little different. And Marco was playing like he was Quincy. He wasn't that good, okay? He was good. He got drafted. He's doing all right in the NFL. But Marco disappointed me as a player in Florida and disappointed me as a Gator and then did it again. I'm done with Marco Wilson. I'm going to tell you what, I'm done with it.
Marco Wilson, I think the thing that's really the most disappointing is he knew what that person was trying to do for him. The person that asked you the question, they're trying to do something for you.
Give you a chance. Softball.
And the thing is, right, once he answered, it's like the interviewer was like, bro, I can't give him no more layups. It's just one of those things, buddy, to where, when it comes to sports and being an athlete, with so many plays and situations, you just hope that you don't get known for the wrong one. Marco Wilson, because of it, it's not because of who he is, it's because of what he did in the situation that he did it in. Because if that's Marco Wilson playing at a smaller school, it would have made SportsCenter not so top 10, but it wouldn't have been. No, dude, this game is pivotal. Could you imagine if we win that game?
Man, get to go to the playoffs.
It becomes that thing to where, listen, Marco was a grown man. You answer how you want to answer, but you've been interviewed way too many times to not know what a layup is.
You knew better.
Of course, and buddy, it's like this. It's like Charles Barkley, Marshawn Lynch, Pac-Man Jones, people who were known for their personality, say all kind of outlandish stuff. That's different. And I love Pac-Man Jones, played with him. But Marco, think about this. This is how you know. You're in the National Football League, and they're asking you about college. That's what they're asking you about. And you go, I'm going to throw a father. So I go, all right, well, whoever handles this PR, they're going to be like, Marco, come on, man. Like, you had a chance, but hey, teach his own, teach his own.
You got it, exactly. All right, so I got a lot to talk to you about tonight. It's a little bit of news in the air. Randy, you folks, so please like and share the show. I mentioned, I want to tell you about the Utah game, which is a huge game. We're going to go over the schedule tonight when the boys get here. Maybe make a pick or two and see what's the best we can expect out of this team. Because we've done this a couple of times, you, me, now Loren's going to be on the phone.
Yep.
I don't know how well he'll be able to hear us, but anyway, we're going to talk about where we expect him to be, and there's been an uptick, but as you pointed out, and several have, the recruiting doesn't help us in 2023, except emotionally and mentally it does help, but the players can't play this year. Terrific couple of really good gets this week, starting with the big offensive lineman, Fletcher Westfall, and then the young man from Gainesville High School who committed yesterday. Some really big gets there. Let's get to one of the topics at hand. August 31st, all eyes will be on Salt Lake City, Rice-Eccles Stadium, the Florida Gators, and the Utah Utes. And I guess a coach has been there, 18 years, 19, whatever it is, a long time. So, we got that going on, and we're looking to see who you line it up against. Tonight we go over our schedule. You got to remember, it's not just how good you are, but how good is your opposition going to be, and that's the key thing. And so we're going to take a look at that. And the news tonight is that Cam Rising, the talented quarterback, a really good runner, as we saw last year in the Swamp, is now on track, he said, to be available for the Florida game. Now, will he be 100%? I don't know. In some ways, you kind of want him because you know what he is. Bringing a new guy in there could be a little more of a challenge if you haven't seen him. So that's the news tonight out of Utah, where we're counting it down. What's today? Today's the 13th. So we just got, under 50 days to go, right, before we got football the Gators playing. And of course, Gators start practicing next week, so media days. So it's on, brother. It's on. Here's one good piece of news, and we'll do this, and then we'll switch it over to something else. But apparently they've got him a catcher, first-class catcher for the Gator softball team. Former OU catcher Jocelyn Erickson says she's transferring to Florida. Last year, listen to this, as a freshman, she hit .323 with 10 doubles, 7 home runs, and 31 RBI. That's good news for the Gator softball team.
We'll take anybody from Oklahoma. Anybody else?
Yeah, bring them on. Exactly right. So you can't identify any of those guys. None of your boys, are they? Those guys in that picture?
No, I mean, and you know how it is, buddy. Even if it was, I wouldn't tell on them. I mean, if it was, I would call them and say, they got you, right? Like, what? Listen, I don't know who can listen to this phone call right now, but that's you. Listen, that's the greatest thing about grandparents and little kids. If they see you, they can't be sweet. Nope, that's him. I saw him. That's him. So my grandparents are still living. If I did something nefarious, my mom ain't gonna lie for me. My daddy ain't gonna say nothing. My mama won't lie. My daddy won't say anything. My grandma and great grandmother would have been like, "Boy, if you don't take your behind down into that police station and get out of my house, because that is you." 12 ways from Sunday. So, buddy, like I said, criminal creativity, in my opinion, is underrated. If you're going to steal anything, and I'm not advocating for stealing, you might want to put on a mask. You might not want to wear now that all blue uniform is one of my favorites at Florida. Just usually they got shoulder pads on with a helmet, and they run it out there in front of, and I hope it stays at least at 80-something thousand. I know that's a big topic of discussion right now.
We talk about that a lot.
But I think you said the best, buddy, last week. Spurrier, in his heyday, 84,000 was enough. It was rocking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to go into the 70s, and I do agree. If we're winning games and we're competing for championships, no one cares about comfort in the stadium. You only care about inconvenience when the team isn't playing well. Team get to playing well. Hey man, we all in here, shoulder to shoulder, standing room only. That's how you want it. It's hot. You think 6 inches gonna make the experience better when it's 100 degrees? Come on now.
Yeah. Like Allie said last night, it's going to the swamp is sweating with 90,000 of your closest friends. That's part of it, right? Hey, I think at least those guys can own a helmet. Maybe it might have here's criminal creativity right here. If you remember this.
Oh my God. And listen, Mr. Joe Milton said, "quote I don't lose to Florida. Like I don't lose to Florida." People said the last
played them one time. How could he say?
Yeah, the last time Tennessee beat Florida was 2003, and the reason why I know that because that was my senior year, and I'm happy that the streak, started. So we'll listen. Them Tennessee boys had an incredible year in 2022, which was over. We'll see y'all in the swamp. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go for sure. A lot of stuff brewing in Athens. You've been hearing about it. Franz is all excited about talking about it, and he's got a bunch of stuff on this information on who was driving the car and the crash and all that stuff. We'll let him get to that when he comes aboard in a minute. But so anyway, I want to get to the Northwestern thing because there's something that really bothers me about it. And I wanted to maybe we'll wait till Franz gets here and we'll talk about it together because there's something bad wrong with it. I did a bunch of reading today about it, and we'll get to that and talk about it. But I think we're seeing, poor Franz has got a bunch of stuff going on here. He keeps texting me. Franz, I'm on the air. I can't answer it right now. So what does he think I'm doing right now? Eating breakfast and dinner? Appreciate it, though, Francis. We'll talk to you in a second. Now I've lost my spot. Let's see. Well, we have talked a lot this week about the stadium, which we'll get to again in a minute. And we talked about it last week. It's the subject of concern for a lot of people, a lot of Gators I've heard from. They don't want to see they don't see the swamp reduced down to about 50,000. Ron says Ben needs to be on the stadium upgrade committee. There you go.
I wouldn't mind. I think sometimes, but and you know this, and Strickland and whomever's on that committee, sometimes it be overthinking it because look, when you're winning, inconvenience, right? Inconvenience is one of those things that is tolerated. Only when you're not winning things like, these seats are too close together, or they need more of this. No, they don't. No, they don't. Like in the NFL is an opportunity to see the best players in the world. College football is an experience. That's what it is. Like you're gonna get stadiums 80, 90, and to me, that's what makes it prestigious to have stadiums that big. So. Like I said, I hope they don't go lower than 84,000. I know they got the petition going out because let's call it what it is, buddy. And somebody goes, look at these seats. No, that's not college, man. That's not college. And I think that sometimes when you got, and I mean this in a humble way, when you got too many resources, sometimes you get to overthinking stuff. You really, really do. So I hope that cooler heads prevail. I hope they do not go lower than 84,000 because it just, certain things you're not, if you're trying to upgrade, you're not supposed to downgrade at the same. You can't do both, man. If you're going to do more, you can't do more by taking away stuff. So we'll see what happens, but they know what my vote is, no less than 84,000 because like I said, it just wouldn't be Ben Hill Griffin without it. It just wouldn't because like I said, I was with Spurrier his last 2 years and I know they got ready to start upgrading, I think my senior year. And I was like, add more press boxes or add more, I don't know, add more seating. Don't take it away though. Because going from almost 90,000 to 75, that's dramatic. That's That's noticeable. That's what that is. So we'll see what happens, buddy. But I just think that how you know college football is the creme de la creme when we care about stadium sizes, capacities. We care about that stuff. So I just think that certain things need to be left alone. Jacksonville, Florida, Georgia, leave it alone. Capacity sizes in colleges, leave it alone. If you want to add to it, add to it. I think what you can do when it comes to that parking, that's what we can all sit down and try to agree on. Because if you get to the stadium late, you're gonna be parking in Williston, Stark to get to the game. It ain't no shuttle.
Yeah.
Listen, you're gonna be parking.
I might start a shuttle down in Ocala. How about that?
Buddy Martin has a shuttle going from Ocala.
There you go. Yeah. For a fee, we'll even play a little music for you, and give you some chicken and whatever. I'll make it enjoyable. So, all right. Let's see. I want to get to my point. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this thing, and we can let Franz join us in a bit. This thing with Northwestern, it's really been eating at me lately. And the reason is because it just doesn't seem, it seems out of character for Pat Fitzgerald, who was a star linebacker there, one of the most famous alumnus, took a program that wasn't doing well and converted it to a winner, although the last 2 years they didn't. And it just doesn't seem right. What would happen? Well, I started thinking, well, maybe it's because he lost so many games. He won but one last year, I think, right? So why all of a sudden they run them off? I'm sorry to report, this is not a pretty thing. After what I read today, I can understand. And I'm going to read it to you. It's a little dicey, so if you got any 10-year-olds, tell them to turn your volume down. And this is what I heard, and it reminded me of another program in the Big Ten that got in trouble for similar reasons. All right, they interviewed the Northwestern football player who was a whistleblower. And I guess they didn't give his name. And he said the hazing method centered around a practice called running. Now, Ben, you and I play sports. We know there's a certain amount of hazing when you're underclassmen. They tie you to a goalpost, they cut your hair, whatever. This appears to have gotten way over the line. What they do in this running program, where these underclassmen are strained in a dark locker room, and get this is the words, dry humped by upperclassmen wearing purge-like masks. What? The players said the tradition was especially common during training camp and around Thanksgiving and Christmas, which the team deemed runsgiving and runsbus. The former player also told the Daily, by the way, kudos to the student newspaper that broke this. The former player also told the Daily about once-a-year tradition called the car wash. Now listen to this. In which players would stand naked at the entrance of the showers and spin around, forcing those entering the showers to, quote, basically rub up against a bare naked man. The same player also alleged that he both witnessed and was forced to partake in what they call under a naked center quarterback exchange, where a naked freshman quarterback was forced to take a snap on the center from a naked freshman center. That is sick. And if that's what they were doing, all of them need to be fired. And it immediately brought to mind another Big Ten program that got in trouble for things that were even worse, if you know what I mean. Be Penn State and Joe Pop. So this is the kind of stuff. Now look, teams have these deep, dark secrets they keep because they're teams. They take their pride in it. But that, my friend, is no place in sports or life anywhere. And that they do it is bad enough, and then have it come out as horrible. No wonder Pat Fitzgerald, he says he didn't know about it. Wrong answer. You're the head coach. You got to know about all of it. It's really despicable, Ben.
It really, really is. And buddy, it gets worse than that. I mean, I read up a lot about it. I read a lot about, some of the language that was being used towards black players and different things. And I'm always an advocate for, right. And, I think you just said it. I think you said it the best way, buddy. When you say, I didn't know about it, unacceptable. No. Because this is what happens, right? This is what happens. Every college or university has a culture. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying you have a culture. It always takes a whistleblower to say, hey, man, this has to stop. You know why they're saying that? They're not doing this just for them. They're doing it for the future, players coming through and the current ones. And the thing that what's most disappointing about these things is Coach Fitzgerald, when they say they didn't know, that's very, very hard to believe. I'm going to tell you why. You got assistant coaches, you got analysts, you got people. Your job is to know. It's like, look, I don't. When I read this stuff, unfortunately for me, it was shocking, but it wasn't surprising. It was shocking. TCU has some similar stuff with a coach. I mean, Clemson had to deal with. You're gonna listen. Isolated incidents that happen, I get it. This is a pattern that goes on at a school because the whole thing. Let me say this though. Hold on. Do you know how embarrassing it is to the people that actually had this stuff done to them to have to come out and say they did not want to have to say this stuff, but they was like, dude, because buddy, the scariest thing for new players is I don't want to be the one that mess up traditions.
I gotta fit in. I want to fit in. Yeah, I want to fit in.
I don't like it. Mm-hmm. I don't. But it's almost like this because this is what it is, buddy. It starts off this way and it gets worse. Here comes something else. Here comes something else. Here comes something else. And the last thing you want to do is, because the upperclassmen ain't going to say nothing. But the problem is they've gone through it. So I was blessed enough to be able to sit down with Dallas Baker, man, former teammate of mine. He's the nephew of Wes Chandler. That's his freaking uncle.
Yeah.
And he talked about, being when y'all used to do stuff to us. And I told him? I said, listen, man, I wouldn't do anything to you that wasn't done to me. And what I meant by that is I'm not going to put hands on you. I'm not going to try to, do anything to make you question your morals and all this. But buddy, when we, the people of the media, just people in general, fans, onlookers, partakers of this great, game called college athletics, and we don't use our platform to speak out. Listen, when people say, well, y'all don't know the head coach, I don't got to know him. I'm talking about what he allowed under his roof. That's it. That's what we're talking about. So they did get rid of him because Northwestern is saying, look, man, and buddy, just like I know, it starts with one, and I'm talking about the whistleblower. Then another one comes out and say, well, this happened. Before we say this didn't happen, make sure you read some of that stuff. But it was disturbing because, unfortunately, for a school like Northwestern that's always scratching and clawing just for, any type of credibility, when these type of things happen, think about if my son is getting recruited by Northwestern. I got to ask myself two things. Is because the coach gone, it's going to be fine? Or is the culture so strong that they'll just go – those are the type of things you got to but I do appreciate you, buddy, for even talking about things that happen in college athletics. And I am not condemning Northwestern. Because if I'm not mistaken, Northwestern was the first school in college athletics that was trying to unionize back in the day. I think they were the first ones to try to do it. I'm never. Although
Colorado Alvarez tried to get it done in Florida.
Too. Yeah. I will say this, buddy. Being a part of the media has shown me how to, be very, 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 very truthful, honest, open, and understanding with my words. Like I know that what I say holds weight. I'm not gonna just throw that around, but I got to also use my words and my voice to amplify when wrong is done. So I do appreciate you, buddy, for even bringing it up because this is the part. We all have to use our collective voices to say this is nonsense. And to me, I think that when we do this, we just show other people, man. Listen, when people say, "Well, I know him," I would have never known. You don't know everything. Listen, the only person you know every single thing about is you, and you still getting to know you. So don't. So this is not the question his character. This is the question his decision making, man. You can't let that kind of nonsense go on. So I hope that nothing else comes out. But just from what I've read and seen, this was crazy. Like this, listen. Let me tell y'all something. When I was at the University of Florida, if I had to do it all again, I would do exactly the same. If this kind of nonsense was going on, they would have been like, they had this country boy from Swainsboro, Georgia, by way of Augusta, Georgia, scratching and clawing like hell. I would have been the one fighting. I'm going to lose if it's me versus 10, but I'm like, listen, bro, when I signed my national letter of intent, this was not in it. This was, and if my father and brother and my family hear about this, the Troupe finna raise hell on this camp. I'm just telling you, when they hear about it, they coming. So I just feel bad for those players, man, that had to do that. I really, really feel bad for them because a lot of them were so afraid to come out and say something about it. Yeah. And the embarrassment of whatever they had done to them or was doing, come on, man. That's to me, that's crazy. That's a nonsense.
All right, so getting to Franz, and just by FYI, we're not going to be able to get Ben tonight. I mean, Loren, he's stuck in Jacksonville. But Franz has got some news not good news about another school in the SEC, and I'm going to let him first make a comment on Northwestern. Then I'm going to come back and play a commercial, and Franz is going to tell us what in the world is going on in Athens, Georgia. Franz, your take on Northwestern and what you've been reading here.
Well, here's what my belief of what happened in Northwestern is you had a coach, and Pat Fitzgerald does the thing that way too many coaches do. They do the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil thing. They know what's going on, but
they don't want to know
that plausible deniability. And the thing about it is they think that they're empowering their team to, they're saying, okay, this is the leadership and they're going to do things and I'm going to empower them. And because I empower them, they will fight for good old NU and fight for me, etc. like that. The reality is they know it's wrong and they know what's going on. But here's the thing. These guys make more money than the president of the university. I'll give you an example. At the University of Georgia, the president of the university makes 1 month of Kirby Smart's salary. He makes $10.5 million. You multiply her salary times 12 and you get Jimbo's. So you tell me who's the boss at the University of Georgia, particularly since they have won 2 national championships in a row and they played for 3 in 7 years.
Yeah. Now, before we get into Georgia, 1 second, I want to give you a full time to talk about Northwestern. I'm going to play a commercial and come back, and it's going to be your time to tell us about Georgia. Anything else about Northwestern, friends?
Yeah, the stuff that went on there, Pat Fitzgerald is using the old plausible deniability thing and saying he didn't know anything about it and it was proven and everything. He knew. He knew. I guarantee you he knew. Yeah. And he's gone as a result of it. And what he's doing now is he's trying to save $40 million of a contract, so that trying to get some sort of a settlement so he didn't get caught with nothing for his time there.
He's a good lawyer like Jeffrey Meldon. After we hear from him, we'll come back. We're going to talk about that, the Franz situation, and can Florida get to 8 wins? There's more and more people saying yes. Let's hear from Jeffrey Meldon.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Won't back down. Back on the show with Ben Troupe and Franz Beard. We're talking about, unfortunately, the evils of college football. We got enough trouble going on without this stuff. But as predicted by many, there was a lot more trouble in Athens than we first knew. Ben lives up there. A lot of stuff has been covered up. Now all of a sudden it's coming to fruition, and the people talking. And Franz, some things happened today that you got to be really worried if you're the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, because nobody is above the law, and we've seen teams and programs like this topple down by such foolishness is what's going on. What's going on, Franz?
Well, there's another lawsuit. They had the family of Devin Willock, who is the player who died in that car wreck that happened after their spring game. His family has filed a lawsuit, a very large lawsuit, $40 million. Now, another person who was involved in the wreck that was involved there, was a passenger in that, has filed another lawsuit against Georgia. The hits keep coming. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution, you know how I know how that they got it right? I know they got it right because of the way that the University of Georgia has reacted. They called, a 9-page letter to refute all the lies. Oh my gosh, this terrible thing. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution did a hit piece on us. And then Kirby Smart gets on there yesterday at a press conference and says, I have daughters. I think about these things. Oh my gosh. I would never let this stuff go on. Well, then why did you send 8 of your players down to the courthouse when your player, Mr. Anderson, was accused of raping a woman? He got off scot-free because Georgia squeezed the judge a bit. And so now he's up in Oconee County. He's been accused of raping another woman. Oh, my gosh. This stuff keeps going on. The 16-year-old kid that was the centerpiece of the AJC story, underage, drunk, out with players, drinking in public, got drunk, comes back, sneaks out after curfew, and the girl tells him stop, and he doesn't. And she says he abused her. She gets off scot-free. Brian Gant is their fixer. Now, buddy, you know as well as I do, every single school in the country has a fixer. And the fixer is there to go schmooze things over and help the athletes get out of trouble that they've gotten into. It's unfortunate, but it's true. But there comes a time, it's one thing to fix a traffic ticket. It's one thing to fix, okay, you got involved in a fight downtown or you were drinking underage. That's one thing. It's another thing to fix sexual assault and then these players play. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. What Georgia did, and there is no way the University of Georgia can talk their way out of this. Remember that line from Hamlet? Queen Gertrude says, "The lady doth protest too much, methinks."
I think Ben used that last week in a speech, didn't you, Ben? That line from Shakespeare? Anyway, go ahead.
If Georgia had been sincere about this, if Georgia had really been sincere about this and wasn't trying to just act like, hey, see, we're innocent. They're doing this for the masses. They've got the Kool-Aid drinkers there that if Jerry Moorhead, who is the president of the university, were to try to fire Kirby Smart right now, I guarantee you 10,000 Georgia Bulldogs would march to her house and burn it down. I mean, we remember the Jan Kemp incident. I'm sure that was a little bit before Ben's time. But Jan Kemp was the lady that Vince Dooley had to fix all the grades. They had more than half of the team was on remedial education. And they couldn't pass the remedial courses. And Jan Kemp was urged to change the grades to keep these remedial guys, half of which were starters on the team, eligible. And she wouldn't do it. They fired her, so she filed a lawsuit, and she won. But, of course, Georgia fans sat there, and Jan Kemp was, she was a terrible woman. That's the nicest thing I can say that they said. And we'd have another case like that. It's Georgia. I mean, that's what they do. They act stupid because they went to Georgia. Among other things. That's not to say everybody who goes there is stupid, but let's put it this way. There's a reason why they're not a member of the American Association of Universities, and the University of Florida is. It's the same thing at Tennessee trying to say it's an everything school. Well, they didn't win any national championships, and they're not a top 5 institution. But what Georgia has done is they're allowing this stuff to go on. And again, it comes down, buddy, to the money. Kirby Smart is the boss at the University of Georgia. The president of the university is allowed to have her job because Kirby Smart says so. She makes $850-something thousand a year. Kirby Smart makes $10.5 million. So,
okay. So Ben, you live there. You tell us what you're hearing, what the locals are saying about things in Athens. Is it worse than what's being said, or is it being exaggerated? What are you hearing, Ben, up there?
No, I don't think it's worse than being exaggerated. I think Franz make a good point when he's saying to the loyal Georgia Bulldogs that bleed, red and black, they're gonna always think that somebody's out to get Georgia. Like somebody's out to get them. We're winning. They're out to get us. But here's the thought: these things really happened. The young man who lost his life, family is suing for $40 million, right? And to me, that's generous. That's still generous when you think about the University of Georgia. And it's like Franz said, to anybody that can and will be made to go away, they will. They don't like it when people go against them. If you don't think that that young man's family has been talked to behind the scenes, you are kidding yourself. But you know what's crazy about all this? People try to separate what went on in Northwestern and what goes on in Georgia. They're trying to separate because Northwestern won one game and Georgia's going back to back. That's the problem with college athletics right there.
It's called immunity.
It ain't what, it's who. It ain't what they do. Mm-hmm. It's who did it. And if you do not believe me, Franz just said it. You think the man in Athens gonna have anything happen to him? Because once again, we just said, head coach of Northwestern, you can't plead stupidity and ignorance. I don't know what's going. Well, you should. If it happened, your job is to know what goes on. Because when those coaches came to you and said, "Hey, coach, we hearing it," man, I don't want to hear all that. This stuff happened for the world to see. With Northwestern, they can say this was behind the scene. This stuff happened for the world to see. So, and for those who got something to say that we got to get Georgia, if that was your child that lost their life, if that's your child, it don't, because you don't owe Georgia anything. Ain't nobody coming at Georgia. Georgia had these infractions and all this kind of stuff going on. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, when when Georgia trying to say, man, we got when the last time a college said we got statements to prove our innocence? Is this a litigation? This sounds like a criminal trial. No, you know that when you say stuff, people gonna listen. Like I said, I can separate Kirby Smart, the coach, from Kirby Smart, the overseer. That is not the same thing. On that field, he's getting it done. That ain't why they pay him all they pay him. You can't just say, "Oh, well, he's a good coach, man." Because like I said, you notice, right? Everything, and this is not to call him out, but with everything that went down with Jameis Winston, it went down during the national championship year. Oh, we didn't hear about it till the next year because the Tallahassee Police Department, all I'm telling you is, for those people that think, why do these student athletes show their behinds? Because they just doing what the coach does. I learned from the best. My coach do stuff. Nothing happens. And when I say my coach, I mean if the coach let this kind of stuff go on. Because what it was is, friends, as long as it's just traffic tickets, nothing happens. Somebody lost their life. Uh-oh. Now it's gotten real. Somebody died. Got killed. 2 people, actually. So the thing is now, buddy, is as long as we cannot make the papers like speeding or reckless driving, they're young. Somebody lost their life. What? Uh-oh. And like I say, I cannot prove this. The money that they offered the family wasn't $40 million. They probably offered the family something. It wasn't 40. They were like, "You want 40? I want 100. I want what Kirby got." I'm just saying, listen, if the greatest place to coach in the world is college football. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that the greatest coaching positions in the world is college. We run the whole city, not just the campus. We run the whole thing. And if we go and we went back to back national champions, who gonna stop me? Who gonna make Kirby Smart do the right thing? And like you said, Franz, it ain't gonna happen. If they fired Kirby Smart, you know what that'll do? Every other coach that ain't Kirby Smart gonna be scared as hell. Cause I'm not saying this happening at every campus now. I'm not saying that. But if they'll get the top dog, no pun intended, hey. But they ain't gonna do that. Listen, Dabo Swinney had a situation happen with his coach on campus, right? Dabo Swinney said when NIL come, I'm done with coaching. He done got a contract extension since, and he the only dude in the planet that wears an orange sport coat with an orange button up with some shorts tucked in. Get the hell out, man! Unless something happens, which it ain't, AJC, y'all can put out the details down to the T, and people are reading and go, oh no, they just out to get us.
This paper's a rag. They just tell a bunch of lies. Let's sue them.
Who the hell is us? No, you just root for Georgia. You think Kirby Smart gonna take your call? Kirby, Mr. Johnson's on the phone. Who? It could be Mrs. Smart on the phone. No, hell ain't here. I'm just saying they need to stop. I don't know what's gonna happen, but until consequences get felt by big time coaches, not coaches at Northwestern. Mm-hmm. That's easy, right? I'm happy they did it, but Northwestern ain't Georgia. Yeah. Northwestern ain't. Most people don't know what the hell Northwestern is, let alone it. So like I said, I remember when Dan Lanning, when the AJC came out and said that Dan Lanning was going to take the head coaching job at Oregon, they went crazy about that. They just trying to. Dan Lanning went to Oregon. What? Like, I'm telling you, when it comes to Georgia, hey, man, I mean, I'm not getting political because I don't get political, but I'm trying to tell you, when it comes to the state of Georgia, if it's against UGA, it's a conspiracy. They out to get us. They don't like us. I'm like, man, I said, what about the kid that died? Well, things happen. No, the hell they don't. No, not like that, it don't. So we'll see, but I would not hold my breath. Because I'm trying to tell you, this stuff that be going on in the state of Georgia, man, please. They're like, they have to get Kirby. They don't like him. Really? The man that make almost $11 million, they don't like him? Man, get out of here.
Yeah, back they like him fine. Whether he's gone, then they'll start being. All right, good job by both of you. I promised fans we dig into the schedule and all that sort of stuff. Won't have time to do it all tonight, but the news that that the quarterback from Utah is going to probably be back. According to Cam Rising says he's on track to return from Florida, which is going to make the game even more competitive. Although you can make a case for the fact that being better than he's starting somebody they haven't seen. But I wanted to say that Loren wrote a good piece for tomorrow's Gator Bait on 8 reasons to think why Florida can win 8 games. And I want to start with that premise and with both of them, because when we started this process 2 months ago, so I remember, I believe Franz had the highest grade, and I believe Ben had the second, and I had the third, and Loren was last in terms of what we expected out of the program this year on a 10-point schedule. Now Loren's come back up a long way. So let's just start with you, Franz. Give me your 2-minute scenario on, can Florida win 8 games, and if so, why? If not, why not?
Florida can win 8 games, and if I think Florida will win 8 games, the question to me is, can Florida get over that hump and win 9 or more? Last year, we have to remember that last year, with a deficient roster, with a roster with a lot of holes in it, they could have and probably should have won 10 ball games. If the defense had bothered to show up in 3 of them, and the offense had bothered to show up against Kentucky, Florida wins 10 ball games. And all of a sudden, Florida is in one of those, what do you call it? Not the
New Year's Day games.
New Year's 6, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the name because they're so irrelevant.
Right.
But that's what they call them. Florida would have been in there. Florida would have been a 10-game winner. They were that close. And that was with a roster with holes and deficiencies in it. This roster is going to be a lot more complete. They're going to have a bigger offensive line, even though they lost Richard Gourage, even though they lost Osiris Torrance. Osiris Torrance is going to be a tough one to replace. He's the one that's going to be tough to replace. The other guys can be replaced. Austin Barber is going to be just fine at left tackle. Micah Mazuka, Rob Sale says he looks like he just came from winning a bar brawl. And he's just got that look on his face like, okay, I'll start another one if you need. I think the line's going to be good enough that Keontae George is going to move inside, which means they're going to be like 6'8", 355, 6'6", 369 on the right side. On the left side, they're going to be 6'5", 329 and 6'6", 320. Those guys are going to grow. Those guys are going to pound and pound and pound. And what Graham Mertz has to do is he doesn't have to win games. I had a quote this week about, I think it was in my Monday column, and I can't reveal who it was, but I can tell you it was somebody prominent who said they didn't bring him here to win ball games. The same person said that one of the problems last year was that Anthony Richardson took it on himself to try to win ball games, which is something that a lot of guys who don't have experience do. That first year Chris Leak was starting, I think Chris Leak tried to win ball games. He felt the pressure of his own statement. I'm coming here to win a national championship. And suddenly he's a freshman and he beat LSU on the road. And the next week he's out there and all of a sudden the rest of the year he's trying to win ball games instead of trusting the talent that's around him and saying, I'm part of the equation. I am not the equation. And I think Graham Mertz understands that he's not here to win games. He is here to be part of the equation that does win them.
So now you got him at 8. What do you got him at? You're trending upward from 8?
I got him at 8, and if stars and planets align, they can win 9.
Okay. Ben, I'm going to do this. I'm going to read Loren's 8 points, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Ben, to wrap it up on what you think. Loren says 8. He had a piece on 8 for 8, 8 reasons for 8. He got number 8, having Corey Raymond in charge. Number 7, the renewed defensive energy with Austin Armstrong. Number 6, defensive transfer portal additions. They've got Cam Jackson and Caleb Banks. Then he's got number 5. He said, like Franz said earlier, Gators were 3-3 in games decided by one score, but all but 2 losses were by 10 points or less. Many of the points of the Gators' losses were the opponent's territory. Anyway, one stop away, like Franz said. Number 4 is running back room is looking good. Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne, we know about. They've also got a young man named Kent Carroll who's a transfer, Trayon Webb. Also, number 3 is Graham Mertz, which Franz has talked about. And his first and only season as a starter, Richardson completed 53.8% of his passes, 17 touchdowns, and a pass rating of 131. Graham Mertz completed last year 57% of his passes, 19 touchdowns, and a pass rating of 135. And then finally, number 2 is Billy Gonzalez. He mentions all the wide receivers he's coached: Percy Harvard, Louis Murphy, Riley Cooper, Dallas Baker, and so on. What difference he will make and how he's attracted top talent. Number 1, he's got Billy Napier. He says Billy Napier says he's in control. He knows what he wants to do. He said the Florida fans won't hear him now, but Billy's planning for the future. Those are the 8 for 8 reasons that Loren wrote on his piece. Loren, agree, disagree, or have a different take? I mean, Ben, excuse me.
I agree with all those takes, but I also agree with the fact that the first 7 games of the season, right? We're either going to be 7-0 or 6-1. I mean, and it's really going to depend on what happened with that Utah game. But this is the thing about Florida this year. We look. You are what your record say you are, right? The box score only tells half the story. Do you know how much better of a player Graham Mercer is going to be when he knows you are not here to win it for us? That takes all the pressure off. Now, he still got to perform, right? And listen, when Franz says, I am a part of the equation and not the equation, that is football. When that Chris Leak that y'all talking about in 2003, my senior year, his freshman year, when he understood, man, look, you are the straw in the drink. You ain't the drink. You the straw in the drink now. I get it. Graham Mertz is here because he understands what big-time football is, what big-time expectations is, and how to not mess it up. We got one of the best duos in the running game. We got an offensive line that is built to move people around. We got a receiver in Ricky Pearsall, who's going to be the Robin to his Batman. And we got a young, energetic defensive coordinator that understands that if we can get off the ball on third down, create pressure, and don't do dumb things like give up 3rd and 18
or throw a shoe.
Throw a shoe. The thing about it is this: the only world beater on Florida's schedule in 2023 is Georgia. That's it. Florida State got to prove they can do it 2 years in a row. I know Utah, and their quarterback is gonna say things because he wants to show, hey man, I'm gonna be ready. We understand the situation goes on with LSU, as far as like that rivalry, things of that nature. But Florida can go out there. Florida got Tennessee at home. They got Kentucky on the road. They got Florida State, at home. We gonna have some favorable matchups. And like Franz said, it's tough for everybody in their first year. Everybody. But I think that understanding that we are a run first, pass second team that's going to play aggressive on defense, and hopefully special teams can get, because the thing about Florida that we ain't talked about enough is special teams has to be an asset now. It hasn't been an asset in a long time. We got a shot to win 8 games. I can see us winning 8 games. And like you said, friends, the hardest thing in football is 9 and 10. You start to get to 9 and 10, now we talk about something. So I do like our chances. I do like the fact that we got a retooled offensive line. They are mammoth of men, though. They standing by Javon Dexter at Friday Night Lights. I'm like, well, which one is Javon? He's the little guy right there. And the center, those are the guys around him. So I like Florida's chances. I'm biased. I get it. But I also look at the fact that everybody got something to say about how Florida beat Florida did not beat Utah because Anthony Richardson went off. Florida beat Utah because they made a defensive stop. That's how they won. They won the game. Bernie's gone. I get it. You're gonna have to see what that linebacker position gonna create. But I just like what Florida brings back. They got guys like Kingsley, at the center position. Started every game the last 2 years. When you got an anchor at the center position, when you got a 2-headed monster at running back, when you got some guys that's gonna have to help Pearsall out at the receiver position, and a young, energetic defensive coordinator that wants to attack, I think Florida can get the 8 win. And it shouldn't. It's only gonna shock people that seem to think that Florida are like, bottom feeders. They've lost their mind. Yeah, we lost to Vanderbilt. I get it. Lost to Kentucky. Can't do that. I get it. And I'm not taking that away. Tennessee was just as shocked to beat Florida as Florida was to lose it to them. They were just like, what the hell is going on? This don't usually happen. And if Anthony Richardson can throw the Hail Mary, hopefully not throw it out of bounds like he did against Vanderbilt, who knows how that game goes. But I like Graham Mertz, and he could listen. And for those people that think, well, he should have went to the SEC coming out of high school, no, the boy has common sense. He was looking at these rosters, not the competition, the rosters. But I like the fact that we got him, and like I said, he got a run game. We'll see what happens with the passing game, but I think we can get the 8 wins. And listen, you know who don't want to have to play Florida with momentum? Florida State. I don't care what they say. And they're the ones with all the hype coming into the season with everybody coming back. But they scratched and clawed. They barely beat us last year off 8 completions from our quarterback to 2 tight ends and a starting receiver. So we'll see what happens, buddy. But I do think that Florida can get 8 wins. Right. And like I said, what they don't want is old Sunbelt Billy and start putting some wins behind his belt. Because some of these teams that's talking in the SEC, come on, man. Tennessee, y'all Johnny come lately, and y'all know y'all are. Vanderbilt, stop it. Kentucky, stop it. South Carolina. So like I said, it comes down to how we look in Jacksonville, how we start off the season. Because we go back, 4 seasons ago? I had Clinton Portis on my show talking trash, talking about Miami's about to get back to what we was. Yeah, Miami going to be back about the same time Texas going to be back. That's February. That's not happening.
All right, Ben getting fired up. Good stuff, guys. Franz, good stuff. Ben, good stuff. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend, and we appreciate. Don't forget Spurrier's having their second anniversary on August 14th. Come out and join us. Celebrate the Steve Spurrier Grind Grill. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend. Talk to you next week. All right. We'll remind you, folks, that we're sponsored by, among other things, our good friends at Titan MRI, Renstar Medical Research, and Meldon Law. Talk to you about our friends at Renstar, who are just exceptional people. I think the world of them. They do a terrific job with their patient-centered clinical research team downtown Ocala. Renstar Medical Research brings cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala in areas like Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, dementia, fibromyalgia, along with many other things that affect us here in our communities. That's what I like about it. They do these research clinical trials. They want you to join in when you can so they can get your DNA and get it in the mixture, and they'll try to send this information off afterwards to these other prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies. So if you'd like to take a part in some of these clinical trials, some cases you can get compensated for time and travel. You can go to the website, renstar.net, sign up for it, and take part in it. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Folks, thanks very much for all your kind words and all your sympathy cards about my wife. I appreciate it very much, and we'll be telling you more about her services here soon, coming up in next month. So thank you very much to Ben and to Franz. Sorry about our buddy Loren not making it tonight, but he'll be back next week strong. So, and good night to my sweetheart Joni up there on the top left-hand side. We'll be back on Monday. Hope you'll join us again for the Buddy Martin Show right here on this channel.